One of the most common questions that new collectors have are, what is this coin I have? Or what is this coin that I have worth? Or something similar to that. So in this video I will show you how to identify and tell the approximate value of 3 coins in increasing difficulty. We will start off with this very simple to identify coin that has basically everything you need written on it. Then we will move on to this coin, which doesn't have any Latin text on it, so it's kind of harder to look up and you can't really read it. And then we will move on to an even harder coin, which does have some Latin text, but you can't see a face value on it and you can't see any year on it. So how do you identify that? And I will also just immediately mention that in this video I will not be talking about ancient coins, because ancient coins are a whole different topic and require a video on their own. But other than ancient coins, these methods that I will show you should work for like 99% of coins. So yeah. And in order to identify all of these, we will be using one website, and that website is called Numista. So we can just type Numista in Google and it will be the first result that comes up. And Numista is basically kind of the biggest online numismatics catalog of both coins, banknotes, medals, basically everything that you need. And if you are currently using one of those coin scanning apps that is supposed to identify the coins, then please just stop using it. It is not good. It oftentimes misses a bunch of little details on the coins, so it will identify the wrong type, because a lot of coins have different types that are actually really similar to each other. And apps like that just often miss all of that stuff and end up giving you wrong information. So please just use Numista instead. And once again, that is more for modern coins. For ancient coins, there are different websites that are better. But yeah, ancients I will not be talking about in this video. Okay, and so once you are on Numista, the first thing that I want you to do is click on this catalog button over here. And that will open this Numismatic catalog search bar, which has a bunch of more details here. And yeah, so let's just start off by identifying this first coin. So as we can see, on one side it says 2 kroni, and on the other side it says Eesti Vabariik, and on the bottom you can see the year, which is 1930. So how do we find that on here? So one way that you could try to do it is by just using this search bar and typing in 2 kroni here. But that is not the recommended way, because you see it pops up with some results from Congo, which it obviously isn't. It also shows some banknotes, and well, I mean, the coin we are trying to find is right here, but this is not really the recommended way of doing it. So I will immediately show you something that is just better to get used to, if that makes sense. Like, just get used to doing this in the future so you have an easier time finding all of your coins. Because just using the search bar here, it sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. So the correct way of doing it would be to click this Add Filters button down here. And you see that a bunch of these filters pop up, and now don't get confused. Most of these you will not need. You will only need like 1 or 2 of these. So don't get scared that there is a lot of fields to fill in. You don't need to fill in all of them. But yeah, so what you can do is you can fill in at least the face value, which is 2. Obviously it says on the coin 2 kroni, and the Gregorian date or the year, but I prefer using the Gregorian date because then it also works for some of the coins that are from countries that use a different calendar. So in here you want to type in just 1930. And then another thing you should fill in is the issuer or the country of the coin, if you know it. So for this coin, on the reverse on it, which is the back of the coin, it says Eesti Vabariik, and from that I can gather that it is Estonia. But let's say you can't really figure that out. So instead of typing Estonia in here and selecting Estonia, so you could do that if you know what country it is, what you can do instead is actually go to this lettering field and type in like one of the words that is on it. Like in this case, let's type in Eesti, which is on it, and let's just click enter to search, and you can see that now we have only one result, and that is the correct coin that we are looking for, which is 2 kroni from 1930 Estonia, which is a circulating commemorative for the Tompea Fortress. So now we can just open it up and we can see all of the info about the coin. You can see that I have quite a few of these actually, so I have them added to my collection here. But yeah, so you can just read about the coin, you can learn about it, you can see that it is actually made out of 50% silver, so that is nice as well. And yeah, so just a real quick onto the other point of this video, which is how do you value a coin? So now after we have identified it, are we rich? I mean, it is silver. Silver is expensive, right? So can I retire? Or do I still need to go to work tomorrow with this coin? And the way you can tell the approximate value of it is by just scrolling down, and you might have already seen a little bit before that there are some values here. And just for a quick glance, you can just look at these values, but just as a precaution, I would say that do not actually trust these Numista values too much. These will kind of get you in the right ballpark, if that makes sense. These will tell you if your coin is worth like €1 or 50 or 100, but it will not really tell you if it's worth like 40 or 50, you know, like it's not that precise. You can't really always trust these values too much. So for actually valuing the coin, I recommend that you actually scroll down a little bit more, and most coins have this past sales section, and this is basically a collection of past actions of this coin, so you can see how much this coin has actually sold for previously and what people have actually paid for it. So you can just have a look at these values and kind of figure out the value of your coin from that, just kind of as an approximation. Now you should keep in mind that you can see here it says plus buyer's premium. That is just because most auctions have around a 20% I think buyer's premium, and this is the price without that. So what people actually paid, you can add like 20% onto that. Now if the coin that you are looking up does not have any past sales down here, then what you can do instead is look up eBay past sales. And the way that you can do that is of course just open up eBay and type in something like Estonia 1932 kroni, and like this it will show you some that are up for sale right now. But we do not want to look at ones that are up for sale right now, although if it's a buy it now price, then that might give you a little bit of a good idea. What we need to do instead is actually scroll down on the left here, or on different platforms it might be in different places, and we need to find this section that says sold items and completed items, and we need to check both of those boxes, both sold items and completed items. And once again, just like past auction sales, we can actually see what people have been paying for these coins. So you can see here that was like 27, 35, 25. This one is graded, so it's more expensive. This one sold for 124, this one sold for 20, and so on. So you can get kind of like an approximate idea of what the coin's value is. And I will also mention that some coins that are made out of precious metals will sometimes only be worth their value in precious metals. And how you can see that is, of course, silver is 50% silver here, and it weighs 12 grams. But just so you don't need to do any calculations yourself, you can scroll down and you can see this bullion value here, and you can see that the coin is worth 13.03 euros at the current silver price, which is 2.17 euros per gram. And yeah, it also shows you the actual silver weight of the coin, which is 6 grams, which of course is 50% of the total 12 gram weight. So yeah, that is basically how you can kind of approximate the value of a coin. I will not be going over this again with the other two coins, because this video is kind of more for how you identify them. But yeah, this method of looking up the approximate value should work for any coin as well. Okay, so now let's move on to identifying the second coin, which, as you can see, doesn't have any legible text for us on it. So how do we go about doing this? We can't exactly type the lettering in, we don't know the face value, we don't know the year, because we can't read anything on it. And well, the thing is that we actually don't need to decipher any of the text. We only need to recognize that some of the numbers on it, which is this big kind of zero looking thing in the middle, and these two little things on the bottom right and bottom left here, we need to recognize that these are numbers, but these are not our numbers that we are used to. So what we need to do is go to Google and look up Arab numbers. So now you basically just need to start comparing. So we see that the big symbol in the middle is this 0 here, which is the number 5. So we can assume that the face value is 5. So we can type that in. And we can see that the things on the bottom right and bottom left, let's just start off with the one on the bottom left, are 1, 9, 6, and 7. So it's a coin from 1967. So that will be our year. And if we look at the number on the other side, it actually says 1387. So how can this coin be both from 1967 and 1387? Those are like two wildly different years. It doesn't really make sense, right? And so those different years are most likely because the country that this coin is from does not use the Gregorian calendar. But it is kind of interesting that they put both the date of the Gregorian calendar on the coin as well as the calendar that they use. Not all coins do this, and I will show you how to deal with this as well. So now that we have our years, we can go back to Numista, and this is now another mistake that some people make from time to time. So you can see that there is this year field and there is this Gregorian date field. So if I type into the year 1967, because we saw that that is the year, it actually will not show up this coin, because this country primarily uses a different calendar. So the year field should be 1387. The year always will be of the local calendar that the country uses. But if you do have the Gregorian calendar date, then of course there's this field called the Gregorian date where you can type in 1967 and it should just show up. So let's just click enter. So it will show up all of the coins that have a face value of 5 from 1967. Let's keep in mind that we still do not know the country because we can't make out any of the text. And there is quite a lot of results. There is 187 results. So actually, let's, instead of the Gregorian date field, let's just delete that. And since we have the local calendar date as well, let's just type in 1387. And that should give us less results, hopefully. Yeah, so that gives us only 10 results now. And immediately the first result is the coin that we are looking for, which is the Egyptian 5 Quraysh coin. And just to make sure there aren't any similar types that we are missing from the 10 results, we can just scroll down and we can see that all of the other coins are completely different. So yeah, this will be the one that we are looking for. Once again, you can just open it up and you can see all of the details about the coin. And you can see that this one is not really worth so much. This one is worth like 50 cents to €1 at most. And yeah, so for a low value coin like this, I would say that it isn't really worth doing the next steps to kind of tell the value. You know that it is in the ballpark of like 50 cents or so. So yeah, you basically don't really need to bother to keep looking up the value. And yeah, here you can see that the calendar that they use is the Islamic calendar. So that is why the year is 1387, and here on the side it also shows the Gregorian calendar year, which is 1967. So yeah, that is how you identify something like this that doesn't really have any text that you can make out. And also I should mention that when you are looking up the coins, I can see all of these years immediately. That is because under display options here I have the fast collection input set to show. Your website might look like this instead, but it doesn't really change anything. The results are still the same. You can still click on the coin and open up its page and see all of the details. So yeah, it doesn't really change much. And now let's move on to identifying this last coin. It is quite a bit of an older coin, as you can see by just looking at it, and older coins in general tend to be a bit harder to identify. Like, as you can see, this one doesn't really have a year on it. This one doesn't have even a face value on. I mean, technically it has a year on it. It has this 75 on the reverse here, but we still don't know what century it is from, and also not all coins from this kind of time period have this kind of date on it. Let's just assume that this coin does not have this 75 on it, and I will show you how to identify it even without seeing that. Let's just say it's like Vornov or something. So yeah, thankfully this coin does still actually have some legible text on it. So what we can do is we can once again click this Add Filters button here, and we can use the lettering feature. And we can see along the edge of the coin that it actually says Regensis Civitatis. So that is what we will type in here. We will just type regain sys cv is. And now let's say one of the letters or something was worn off and you couldn't quite make it out. What you can do in that case is you can actually just not type that letter in. Let's say this N was worn out, so you can just not type it in and instead put this star symbol here. If we click on the question mark, you can see as well that if only some letters are visible on your coin, to identify it you can use an asterisk as kind of a wildcard letter, so then it will show all of the coins that have any letter in this space here. So we can just click search with that, and we should only get a few results because this is quite a bit of text that we have typed in. And now here we only have 22 results for us, so we can just look through them to find the coin. But if you have, let's say, like 200 results, that is too many to look through. So what you can do instead is either measure the coin or weigh the coin on a scale and use this size field and the weight field. But for these, it is important to know that you should put in a size range in the weight range, because in the catalog, like you can see, this coin, for example, is 24.43 grams. So if you wait and you were to type in like 24.42 grams, then this one would not show up. So it is important to type in a range, like for example, like 24.2 to 24.6 or something similar to that. Like just kind of a range on either side of what you actually weighed it as, and same for size. But yeah, if we have gotten down to like 20 results, then we can just look through them. Obviously at the top here we see that these are not even close to what we are looking for, so let's keep scrolling. This one is a bit closer, this one is really close, but we can see that this building here does not quite match, and so this is type 3, so we don't have a type 3. This one also, the building doesn't quite match. Basically you need to compare, and we can see this one, the 1 shilling type 4, which obviously I have already opened and already have added because I have added this coin to my collection before. But we can see that this picture matches exactly what we have. The building has these little lines on the tower, all of the text matches, etc, etc. So we can open it and we can also check the lettering. We can also open the picture to be larger and compare in more detail like this. So yeah, basically you just need to find a coin that matches. And here, even in the comments, you can see the differences between the different types. Like the building on the coin looks a bit different depending on if it's type 1, type 2, type 3 or type 4. And yeah, so if you just look at it and compare it, then the one that I'm showing as an example is type 4. And here we can also see that obviously, yeah, this 75 was there, so this coin was actually from 1575, so almost a 500-year-old coin, which is pretty cool. And once again, if we just scroll down, you get some values here, and from these you can already kind of gather that you will still have to go to work tomorrow, that this coin isn't worth like thousands, you know. But yeah, if you need more detail in the value of the coin, then you can look up in past sales, which actually this is a good example that there is not any past sales here, but yeah, if you look on eBay then there probably are. And yeah, so that is basically how you can identify and value any coin in the world. Now, if you're still having some issues identifying some coins, or if you just want a community to talk to about numismatics, then you can join our Discord server that I have a link for in the description. We have a pretty decently sized community of active people who are all into numismatics that will be happy to help you out with basically any kind of question that you may have, including identifying coins as well. There we also have weekly themed competitions where you can post your coin or banknote, or even we have some for just objects or stamps as well, where you can post what you have and people vote on it. And of course the one with the most votes at the end of the week is the winner. So yeah, it's basically a lot of fun. I recommend you join the server. But yeah, so if you found this video helpful, then consider leaving a like, maybe subscribing, maybe, as I said, joining the Discord server. And yeah, so that will be it for this video, and see you in the next one.